In this video, we're going to watch some of the world's best RC drifters battle to see who's number one at the championship finals here in the UK. The winner and the new champion will be the last man standing after 70 drivers go toe-to-toe in tandem knockout battles throughout the event. Hundreds of drivers have been qualifying all year in feeder rounds for their chance to compete here. During qualifying laps, drivers are judged and scored out of 100 to determine their ranking heading into the battles. The judges are looking for line, angle and style. Here's a nice qualifying run by one of the international drivers, Sebastian Thorley, to show you how it's done.
Into out of 4. From there all the way around, look at him go, there it is, over the line, beautifully done. True to Mr. Thorley's form, 93 points.
So before the knockout battles began, we got a driver briefing from the judges, explaining exactly what they'd be looking for and what the rules were for the event.
So, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Tyz and Michael, and they are going to brief you on the line you should be driving.
But basically we've put down this line with some flipping points, all the cars on track, pretty much tell you exactly where you're going to need to be throughout both the battles. Anything that's out of what we set down as the correct way of driving, that will be either a heavy points deduction or 0.
The drivers then got a last chance to get out and practice, and it was really clear to see there were some very talented drivers in the building. Shout out to Ryan Addis, who was not only throwing big entries all day long and some impressive close proximity drifting, but also even had RCDriftTok on his shell. What a legend. So that's practice over, and next up is the knockout battles. But before we get into that, I'm giving you a chance to win your very own RC drift car. So I have a competition running to win a Kyosho Phaser D2 ready to run drift RC. It also includes free worldwide shipping. To enter the competition, there's a link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on screen. Sebastian, who we saw qualify earlier, definitely stood out during practicing, and there was also a young driver called Henry Ford who was very impressive, so I knew at this stage they were definitely two to watch. So then it was time for the battles to begin. If you haven't seen this type of drift battle before, this is how it works. The drivers do 2 runs each. One is the lead car and one is the chase car. The judges then pick a winner, sending the loser home. Just like qualifying, the judges are looking for line, angle and style, but in the tandem battles, they're also watching for good proximity from the chase car as well. So the battle started out with over 70 drivers, but quite quickly we are down to the final 8. Sebastian had made it this far, but his next battle was going to be a tough one because he was up against John, also known as Bullhead, who I know is a great driver.
Okay, we're off the line. We're going to see Sebastian Thorley here at front with Bullhead in his iconic chase position. He's not quite there with an answer just yet. A couple cars opening up. He's having to take a little bit of a dive to get there, but he's there now. Sebastian laying down a beautiful lead line, but again, Bullhead's just not quite there with the proximity, having to make more dives. Beautiful initiation back into outer zone 4 for Sebastian. Carries it all the way around, over the line.
So Bullhead away, Sebastian chasing in. Here comes Bullhead, Sebastian is with him on the slightly wider line, but staying there on the pace. Here's Bullhead now correcting the line as he comes across.
Wow,
right up there,
wow.
bumper to bumper as they make their transition. Sebastian pushing him along. Here's the final flick. In they go, Sebastian side by side with Bullhead. No pushing, no touching. Away they go, a little touch maybe front wheel to front wheel.
So that had been a really close battle, but the decision went Seb's way. And next he was up against Dennis, one of the top international qualifiers.
Sebastian Thorley in the lead, Dennis Bjune in the chase. This is going to be one to watch. Look at them go with that initiation. Once again, Dennis just tucking in right where he needs to be, and Sebastian with the room for it to make it happen. But the pace on this, look at them go. The proximity, they're right there, door to door. Transition bumper to bumper. Back on it, out of zone 4. There they are together, all the way around, all the way over the line.
So Dennis taking the lead this time from Sebastian, who's going to chase in. He's going to stay nice and close, and there's plenty of angle from both drivers there. Dennis staying disciplined. Sebastian, or maybe on a slightly wider line now, giving room for the transition as they go through. Similar lines there, now side by side as they now line up. A little bit of a tap there, but lining it up nicely. Sebastian getting really, really close in there, and staying right together throughout.
Wow. Amazing. They're going to be picking hairs in the judges' bench right now, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, there's so little to call.
So you could tell that was a really tough decision for the judges to make, but it was the end of the road for Sebastian, meaning he had finished 5th overall, which was still a great result considering how many people entered the competition. So now back to another driver who was looking great in practice, Henry Ford. But to move forward in the championship, Henry had a very unique battle on his hands first because he was up against his own dad, John Ford.
All right, giving lead, we have Henry in at the front. Not much from John just yet. He's playing a little bit safe. His dad, John Ford, just not with much of an answer as they head around that final zone.
So John in the lead, Henry to chase. Here we go then, as John turns into turn 1. He's on the attack for this latter section, coming through the final swing back. Oh, Henry's planning it. By the end though, a little bit of a push round. Away they go. Your winner, Henry Ford.
So after that dominant performance, Henry just couldn't stop winning. So that was it. He had made it all the way to the final 2, where either him or Dan RRC would take the top prize and become the new champion.
Oh, again, Dan RRC and Henry Ford. Henry just falling back a little bit there, and Dan RRC not quite from the zone as he needs to. He's quite offline still, but Henry is coping with those mistakes with no issue. Transition now, he picks it up, gets a little bit closer and falls back again. Now he's back on the door for that final zone. Over the line.
Henry away then, Dan trying to give chase now as we go into turn 1. The gap opens up just a little bit, but Dan closes it in. He seems to be on a similar line there, and now waiting for that transition to happen. Here comes Dan then for the attack for zones 2, 3, and 4. Coming round, now giving enough space for the attack at the end. It seems that they are again on similar lines, and the distance doesn't seem to be changing too much. It's pretty close.
Okay, we're going to see what the judges say.
With this event,
your winner, Henry Ford!